Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Iskandar bin Suhaimi, and today we will discuss about Professional Ethics Chapter 4 Code of Conducts. In our course, Engineers in Society, I am from class EE241C7B. So, what is ethics? Well, ethic is a set of moral principles that tie specifically to a certain group, field, or form of conduct. Are the ethics important? Yes, ethics are very important to society because it is a value that shows how good the person's way of life. It can also be set as a guideline for the person, either the way of their work or even their own life for them to be better to the society. How to be an ethical person? Well, first, you need to follow every rule that is set to achieve your goal to become a good person, and you must be consistent in making good to yourself, religion, and nation. Now, what is the difference between morality and professional ethics? Well, morality that we be using this term refers to the standard of conduct that apply to everyone rather than to a specific group of people. Even though many people will follow the ideology of standard of conduct, ideally, some groups of people will not follow along as it seems to be not aligned with their mindset. The morality can be changed throughout the flow of time. For example, Africa was there was an apartheid system in 1948 where they separate people by their skin color, and it was going on until the early 1990s. In the eyes of the Africans, the law and that kind of morality seem to be for the good cause for the country, but some of them think it the other way around that led to the formation of a democratic government in 1994. Now, let's we proceed to the professional ethics. So, professional ethics will refer to the special moral, permissible standards of conduct that ideally every member in that kind of profession wants others members to follow, even if that would mean having to do the same. The ethic applies to the member simply because there are members of that group. For example, engineer ethics applies to engineers. Medical medical ethics apply for medicines people, and also business ethics apply to the people in business. Engineering ethics is as much a part of what engineers in particular known as the factor of safety, testing procedure, or a way to design for reliability, durability, or economy. Also, engineering ethics is a part of thinking like an engineer. This group exists not only to serve the interests of their members, but also to move the industry or profession forward. Now, moving on to professional code of practice. A code of practice is a set of written rules which explain how the society in specific profession should behave when performing in their job. For example, the auctioneer are violating the code of practice when they are auctioning stolen goods, even though it is good for their job, but it is not good for the morality, for the mindset of the society. And another example is that um, the tennis coaches who are members of the Professional Tennis Registry or US Professional Tennis Association are not supposed to teach lessons at a facility that employs a tennis coach without getting that tennis director's or manager's permission first. Now, we will go to licensing and registration. Okay, a graduate engineer is a person registered under Section 10 Bracket 1 of the Registration of Engineers Act in 1967, and it is revised on 2015. It is mandatory for a university graduate to register as a graduate engineer if she or he want to take up employment as a graduate engineers. So, according to section 7 bracket 1b, a graduate engineer will be entitled to describe himself or hold himself out under any name, style, or title using the abbreviation graduate engineer after his name or in any way associated with his name. This is in accordance with section 7 bracket 2 bracket A, which specified that a graduate engineer who is registered with the board may subject to section 8 take up employment which requires him to perform professional engineering services. Now, the requirement for the licensing and registration. The qualification for registration as a graduate engineer with BEM Board of Engineering Malaysia is defined in section 10 bracket 1. On application, a person who holds any engineering qualification recognized by the board is eligible to be registered as a graduate engineer. So, number 1, engineering degree awarded by Malaysia. They must have an engineering degree awarded by Malaysia. So, Engineering Accreditation Council, EAC, accredited or recognized engineering degree in Malaysia. The EAC website has the most recent list of accredited engineering programs in Malaysia. So, number 2, engineering degrees from several other countries. Engineering degrees earned outside of Malaysia will be recognized depending on the certification from a professional body that is a signatory to the Washington Accord, WA. The list that have a signatory of Washington Accord are Korea, Russia, Malaysia, China, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Ireland, Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, China, Chinese Taipei, Singapore, Japan, India, United States, Turkey, United Kingdom, Costa Rica, Pakistan, and Peru. Next, number 3 is the graduates with engineering technology degree. So, engineering technologists must have a bachelor's degree in engineering technology to register. So, you have to take note that Malaysia is a signatory to the Washington Accord, which acknowledge the substantial equivalency of such programs in meeting the academic requirements for professional engineering practice. At the worldwide level, it is an exclusive agreement between engineering education accrediting agencies. Professional organizations that have signed the Washington Accord must accredit all engineering degrees. Engineering Accreditation Council (EAC), made up of BEM Board Engineering Malaysia, MQA, Malaysian Qualification Agency, JPA, Jabatan Pertahanan Awam, or Public Service Department Malaysia, or IEM, Institute Engineering of Malaysia, is the body in Malaysia that accredits engineering programs offered by Malaysian universities. Now we will moving on to the list of professional body who are signatory of Washington Accord. The three just now are the requirement, and now is the list of professional body. So, who are the signatory of Washington Accord? An unrecognized engineering degree can acquire their license through a pathway provided by BEM. Unrecognized engineering degrees holders might choose from the following option. Number 1, which is Master's Degrees Program taught course. So, the master degree program have to be completed the coursework in an engineering discipline relating to your field. The subjects taken in the master's program must complement the subjects completed in the bachelor's engineering program (HONS). Before enrolling in the master's program, graduates should submit the following document for review by BEM. BEM will advise the graduates on which subjects to study and how many credit hours they would need. So the list that you have to be given to the BEM for review are the scroll of degrees, official transcripts in their entirety, and information on the Master of Engineering program such as course content or subjects, duration, and so on. Next is the top-up course or only the subjects, which that you have to complete a few missing subjects at the university where the candidate graduated, or at any university that offers an Engineering Accreditation Council Malaysia recognized degree. Prior to beginning to the top-up program, the graduate must submit the degree scroll and all official transcripts to BEM for evaluation. BEM will advise the graduate on which subjects to study and how many credit hours would they need. So the difference between these two are that this is the path for the unrecognized engineering graduate have to be taken. So this is the full courses of master degree program. They have to attend full course of this program and to be finally accepted by the BEM as the registered graduate engineer. But the top-up cost is that you only submit your scrolls, degree scrolls, and they will advise which subjects only that you have need to partake to make the credit hours is sufficient for you to have a title of graduate engineers. Okay, now we will proceed to the procedure of registration. So, the application method for the Malaysian and non-Malaysian in the this is included in the BEM website for you to register for to be the graduate engineer. So this is the requirement. The application method for the Malaysian is that application shall be made online using My BEM system, and the non-Malaysian application shall be made online using the My BEM application system. So the supporting document is that both of it must the applicant for the both Malaysian and non-Malaysian must submit the following supporting documents, and all the documents must be certified by a professional engineer recognized by BEM. So for the Malaysian, they have to submit the degree scroll and official transcript or CAAM or DCAM aircraft maintenance license, the diploma scroll and official transcripts if any, and also the identification card. So the non-Malaysian, they have to submit their degree scroll and official transcript or CAAM or DCAM or aircraft maintenance license, the same as the Malaysian until the identification card, but with an extra of permanent resident or passport. Also, if you have both, you have to submit both of it. Okay, moving on to the payment. So, for the Malaysian, it is accompanied with a non-refundable processing fee for the amount of 50 ringgits payable to the Board of Engineers Malaysia BEM. For the non-Malaysian, it is accompanied with a non-refundable processing fee for the amount of RM 50 ringgit payable to the Board of Engineers Malaysia. For the mode of payment, for the Malaysian, it can be money order or postal order, bank draft or check, using online payment via Maybank to You or CIMB Clicks or RHB, and also you can pay by using PIN and Pay, which is the credit or debit card at the counter only. Note that the processing fee does not include credit card and bank charges. And for the non-Malaysian, the processing fee does no sorry the mode of payment by the telegraphic transfer or the bank draft or PIN and Pay only at the counter, and also online credit card option that will be offered soon. So for the foreign university, for both of the Malaysian and non-Malaysian, this is the the procedure of registration for the foreign university for Malaysian and non-Malaysian is that they must have the certified copy of the degree scroll from a foreign university which is not in English language, shall be accompanied by a translation of it in English or Bahasa Malaysia, such as when you are graduating at Japan, you must include the certified copy of your degree scroll translation in also in English. You have to have the copy of your scroll in English or in Bahasa Malaysia if you're, for example, you graduate from Japan. So, and the next is complete form, that only complete application with all the supporting documentation will be processed and submitted to the board for approval. The BEM will not approve if one of the form that is required is not being filled up completely. Next, issuing this certificate. Upon approval, a certificate of registration as a graduate engineer will be issued to them. And the processing time is that for both of them is the every application for registration shall be decided upon by the board within 4 months from the date of receipt of such application. Okay, now we proceed to the declaration to be signed by the applicant. Okay. Number one is that the applicant must declare that he or she agree to abide A. The Registration of Engineers Act 1967 that is revised in 2015 and the Registration of Engineers Regulation 1990 that is also revised in 2015, and also B. Notifications and circulars issued by the Board of Engineers Malaysia. Number two is that the declaration to be signed by the application is the authorized BEM to seek clarification on any information submitted in any manner and by any means as it deems fit and proper. So if they need your birth certificate that needs you to declare to be signed by you, so you must sign it for them uh, as they see it deem it's fit and proper for them. That's for the example. And also the penalty for it in section 24 bracket A of the Registration of Engineers Act 1967 revised in 2015. Any person, sole proprietorship, partnership, or body corporate who procures or attempts to procure registration or a certificate of registration under this act by knowingly making or producing or causing to be made or produce any false or fraudulent declaration, certificate, application, or representation, whether in writing or otherwise, shall be guilty of an offence and shall, on conviction, be liable to a fine not exceeding 50,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or to both. So be careful not to register not in a wrong way. Okay, so from the penalty, so we can go to the conclusion for 4.1. It is in the conclusion that engineering ethics is important to the engineer as it is the way of thinking of an engineer. So if you want to pass the examination of engineering that you have to take by the BEM, you must have your engineering ethic as it is one of the question that will be asked in the examination in the essay form. So that's it from me. I will pass it to Ame. Thank you.
Enjoy this movie, then visit brainpop.com for much more. Say what? Dear Robot Ethicist, Mr. Anderson pays me $6 an hour to mow his lawn. It usually takes me 2 hours, but last week I got it done 30 minutes faster. He already paid me in advance. Is it ethical for me to keep the money? From Amber. You're the paper's new ethics columnist? Okay, let's see your response. Dear Amber, ethical schmethical, just live in the moment. Best, Moby. Do you even know what ethics is? Alright, how should I begin? If you've ever watched a nature video, you may have noticed that animals behave a little selfishly. They act on their urges without much regard for other creatures. People are a little different. We care about how our actions will affect others. But we are part of the animal kingdom, so we still struggle with selfish urges. We want stuff for ourselves, whether it's food and money, or more complex things like love and popularity. Can you imagine what would happen if everyone acted on these desires? Yep, total breakdown in society. Fortunately, we've evolved a sense of morality, or right and wrong. This sense guides us to believe in certain values. Lying is wrong, kindness is good, that sort of thing. Values, in turn, help us make ethical decisions, choices that we feel good about. So you can think of ethics as a set of guidelines for behaving morally. Well, let's take this first letter of yours. If you take $12 for mowing the lawn in 90 minutes, your wage will be $8 an hour. That's deceptive, because you agreed to work for $6 an hour, and lying is morally wrong. Why? Well, our inner moral sense tells us it is. That's why so many ethical systems forbid it. Most religions and philosophies frown on dishonesty. And our legal codes prohibit certain kinds of lying, too. It's a crime to make false statements to the police or in a court of law. And if you're in business, it's illegal to make false claims to the public. It might help Amber to imagine herself in Mr. Anderson's place. No one likes being lied to. Mr. Anderson might not trust her to mow his lawn again if he finds out. Amber should admit that it only took 90 minutes to mow the lawn and offer to give $3 back. She might lose a couple bucks, but her reputation is more important than money. Anyway, that was an easy one. What else have you got? Dear Robot Ethicist, yesterday, I caught my friend Steve cheating off my test. He's never done it before, and he begged me to keep it secret. If his parents find out, he'll be grounded for weeks. What should I do? From Anthony. This one's a bit trickier. We know that cheating is wrong, and every school has rules against it. On the other hand, friendship carries its own ethical obligations. Friends should be loyal and try to help each other out. By telling your teacher, you'd be betraying Steve. Yep, it looks like we've got an ethical dilemma, a situation with no clear-cut right answer. It may seem silly, but making a list of arguments for each action can be super helpful. The school code prohibits cheating, and you can get in trouble if your teacher finds out. But your friend will fail the test and get grounded if you say something. Still, friendship cuts both ways. It wasn't fair for Steve to put you in this position. There are definitely more reasons to speak up than stay quiet. Unfortunately, there is no formula for acting ethically. You have to judge by the individual situation. Ask yourself, what solution is fairest to all the people involved? Maybe you and Steve could go to your teacher together and tell her about the situation. Steve could ask for a makeup test or promise to do extra credit to keep his grades up. That way, he won't get away with cheating, and you won't betray his trust. Nope, I was happy to help, but it wouldn't be ethical for me to answer all your letters. You're going to have to rely on your own moral compass for the rest of these. This explains so many things. Visit us at